Okay, so a few weeks or so ago, I watched Deadpool and Wolverine, which I will mostly just be referring to as Deadpool 3. I guess in a way it's almost like Deadpool W. And I've been wanting to make a video about it. I'm like, hey, this is something current that I actually watched. Like, I want to make a video about it. I enjoyed it. I want to talk about it. But I wasn't sure what I wanted to say. And I really didn't want to repeat the Fallout video where I'm like, I really liked this and I want to talk about it, but I kind of don't know what the fuck to say about it. So I really just, even more than usual, just kind of ramble for 30 minutes and the whole thing is a fucking mess. But serendipitously, I watched a video a couple days ago, and unfortunately I can't remember the name of the creator. I'm going to try to link the video in the description, but it's about how sincerity is, I believe the video is like Sincerity, Hollywood's Forgotten Currency. And one of the things that the video talks about is how the guy had recently watched the Lord of the Rings films for the first time. And watching those opening moments in the Shire, or hearing the opening narration, he kept waiting for the punchline. Like, okay, like there's a literal wizard in a pointy hat in a village with little men all wandering around. I'm so used to movies making a joke about this kind of situation, but like winking at the audience. When is it going to happen? And the fact that it never did in Lord of the Rings kind of caught him off guard and made him appreciate it that much more, especially in, like current cinema. And something that he did talk about is, it's not that a film or a show or whatever can't have humor, but it's really hard to have your cake and eat it too when it comes to taking your work seriously, but also making fun of it and kind of taking the piss out of it. And for the most part, I don't think he's wrong. I can think of some exceptions, notably the Guardians of the Galaxy films. Like, my favorite joke in the entire MCU is in Guardians 2. And it might be exactly what you think it is. It's the, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all! Which is kind of doing both things at the same time. By, like, Quill looking at Yondu slowly floating down and saying, you look like Mary Poppins, is making fun of him. And hearing Michael Rooker just emphatically scream, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all, is really goofy. But it's that moment in between when he looks at Star-Lord and asks him, is he cool? And Quill has that moment where he wants to make the joke. It is in his character, and every fiber of his being is telling him to make the joke. But he can't. Because this is, what is the line? It's like, I might not be your father, but, or like, he's your dad, but he ain't your daddy kind of thing. It's like, this is his daddy. This is his papa. He's got to let him have his moment. Like, hell yeah, he's cool. It's kind of a beautiful moment, as funny as it actually is. But it is that dichotomy of something trying to be sincere while also taking the piss out of everything that is very prevalent in the Deadpool films. I like the first movie, but even watching it, I was like, when it's being a really violent and raunchy action comedy, I think it's great. The moments where it focuses on Deadpool fucking rule. When it focuses on Wade Wilson, I like it fine, but I don't think it quite works. And it is because of the tone of the film, now trying to take itself seriously and keep it grounded. I appreciate that you're trying to, but I don't know if it quite works. And then Deadpool 2, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember it just not working for me at all. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I just don't give a shit about this kid or his relationship to Wade, and you're trying, but I don't know if it's working. Deadpool 3, Deadpool W, is my favorite Deadpool movie because it's the one where it worked. And admittedly, again, not necessarily because of Wade. It is kind of hard to take the guy who's like, I'm Marvel Jesus. And like, dude, look at Thor crying over me. Seriously, when he's talking about the end of his world. Like, it still works enough, but about maybe as much as the first movie does. What really grounds it and gives it that sincerity, for me, is Wolverine. And surprisingly, a lot of those other cameos, Elektra, Blade, I almost just said Channing Tatum, Gambit, and X-23. It's the fact that while Deadpool is taking the piss out of everything, Wolverine isn't. He very clearly, like, Hugh Jackman very clearly wants to be there. Wolverine doesn't. He is so sick and tired of dealing with this piece of shit. But the moment that Deadpool says, hey, if we do this, we can fix your mistakes, he's willing to do anything for it. You can see his character arc and his character growth throughout the entire movie, and it feels believable even in Deadpool's world and Deadpool's movie. My favorite scene of the movie is not the opening, although the opening, I kind of put a pin in that. The opening is a blast, and the scene with all the cameos and them interacting, and Chris Evans getting popped. What is the line? Like, popped like a disgusting flesh pimple. Like, oh, fuck, that is violent, and it was amazing, and I loved it. And the scene in the end credits where he just gets to go on the most, like, fucked up rant is wonderful. It's beautiful. I loved it. My favorite scene in the movie is when Deadpool and Wolverine are in the car. And Wolverine eviscerates him. Not with his claws, but with his words. Absolutely cuts Wade Wilson to the quick. This is why you're a failure. This is why everything you do turns to shit. And that's Deadpool's reaction to it, because you don't see his face. He's in the mask, he's in the outfit. He's quiet for a moment. And that's how you know something's fucked with Deadpool. He's quiet for a moment. I don't remember exactly what he says, but it's something along the lines of, I'm gonna hurt you now. There's no joke there. There's not a... He doesn't even say it in a funny way or like, okay, that hurt. Now let me hurt you. He's serious. And again, there's moments in the other movies where, and even in this one, where there's maybe not a joke and he's still trying to be serious. And again, it kind of works. But I feel like Wolverine in this movie feels so sincere and grounded that it even rubs off on Deadpool and makes it work. I'm gonna take the pen out of the opening scene. It's fantastic. It's incredibly fun. It's incredibly violent and gory. He digs up Wolverine's skeleton from the ending of Logan, assuming that he is still alive, is pissed off that he's not, and is using the adamantine skeleton as a weapon and killing a bunch of dudes, all while NSYNC's Bye 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 is playing in the background. This is the kind of shit I expect from a Deadpool movie, and like, the first 5 minutes alone, I kind of got my money's worth. But even this scene is able to... It's one of the few moments in the movie where it can really have its cake and eat it too. It's very fun. It's taking the piss out of everything. Like, hey, you remember the ending of Logan? Well, here he is, and now we're using him as a fucking weapon, like literally throwing around his corpse for money. They still let him die, though. They didn't dig him up and still find him, like, just there in pain with all his damage, or like, well, shit, I've been trying to get out of that coffin for years. They still kept the ending of Logan intact. There's still sincerity there. And it surprisingly kind of worked. Then we get into the cameos. And yes, there's that like Leo DiCaprio moment where I'm like, oh, I know these. Like, I straight up clapped when I saw Wesley Snipes. And of course, at the end of the movie, or not at the end, but when he later is like, some motherfuckers are still trying to ice skate uphill, I clapped again. Because as soon as I saw him, I was like, please talk about motherfuckers trying to ice skate uphill. I don't know if he will. That might be a bit much, but please do it. And I got to hear Jennifer Garner make a joke about Ben Affleck, and that's probably my favorite joke in the movie. And, like, anything Channing Tatum says, woo! I don't know what name of myself. Like, it's gold. It's very fun and very entertaining. I still felt the sincerity in them being there. And you can make the argument, it's like, it's really not that sincere. It's just cameos. It's just there to get people to do the Leo point and talk about the movie so people go watch it. I'm a big fan of Jennifer Garner's Elektra movie. I haven't seen it since I was like 13, 14-ish. But it's a movie I really liked. I saw a beautiful woman in a sexy red outfit using a pair of sai fighting like ninjas and shit. I thought that movie fucking ruled and kinda wanted to see more of it, and I never did. I think Blade is cool as hell. When it was a few years ago at one of the like Comic-Con conventions, like, here's our plan for like the next few phases of the MCU. There were some things that were exciting. That might have been when we first heard about No Way Home, which was like the most exciting thing, I won't lie. Right after No Way Home was Blade for me. Of all of these movies that they've talked about, like some which have come out already, that's the one that excited me. And even though it's not Wesley Snipes' Mahershala Ali, who I think is a fantastic actor, like the fact that that movie still is not out and I think is canceled because of like a lot of production issues makes me so mad. And yeah, the fact is like, there's one Blade, there's only ever gonna be one Blade. I'm like, ah, man, he's right. I'm not upset because Wesley Snipes is the only Blade. He's cool as hell, but I wanted another Blade movie. Could we get another Wesley Snipes Blade movie? I mean, I'm just gonna say this. Now that Marvel vs. Capcom is coming back, could we get Blade in a Marvel vs. Capcom game? That'd be sick as fuck. I would be very, very excited to be, whether it's Mahershala Ali, Wesley Snipes, or something else. I would be so fucking hyped to play as Blade. But as someone who was really hyped for more Blade content, and who really liked the Elektra movie, the characters talking about how they never got an ending, and never had a chance to fight for their world or for their ending, actually did kind of strike a chord with me. And then you got Channing Tatum over here, who is saying, he's like, hey, some of us never even had a chance in the first place because he had been cast to play Gambit, he was gonna get his own solo film, and it just never happened. And as funny as he is, and the shit that he says, and the way that he says it, you can tell how happy he is to be here, and to finally play this character. He's like, look, this might be the only chance I have to play Gambit, but I am going to make every second worth it. And what do you know? This is the thing that has been memed to hell because it's so memorable. And yeah, you can say that, well, it doesn't really fit sincerity because it's a joke and they're even making fun of his accent the entire time. But again, for me, the fact that he didn't get a chance to play the character, finally got it, and is the most remembered part of the movie, that's really fucking cool. And also you have X-23, which they don't really use her to make jokes. It is just like 1000% sincerity. And again, you see her playing off Logan. It's not the same Logan, it's not her Logan, but she can still see her Logan in him. And it's that interaction that does really, like, it helps him. there's other shit in the movie that I enjoyed. It's not just I liked it for the sincere moments, because, yeah, I liked the cameos. Seeing Chris Evans, like, oh, that's not Captain America, that's Human Torch. Yeah, like, that's really fun for me. Again, his incredibly violent death. Seeing, like, Pyro again, I thought was kind of neat. The fight against all the Deadpools, even watching, I'm like, none of them are actually dead. This is kind of a waste of time, but it's so fun to watch that I don't think I'm that upset about it. No, I'm not upset. This was a really fun scene of the movie. I had a good time. I think for me, this is the first Deadpool movie to really be able to strike that balance between Deadpool. There's a dog pool, not a Deadpool. Between Deadpool's style of comedy and violence and a genuinely good, or at least good enough narrative. And the credits really do a lot for that too. Not the bit with Chris Evans at the end, although again, I guess it almost kind of does, because you get your Deadpool comedy moment, and even then I'm like, Hugh Jackman is trying not to laugh this entire time. It's great. But you also get the like the credit reels, and it's showing bloopers of all these other Fox and New Line movies. Like, we see some for Blade, we see like Daredevil, the X-Men movies, we even see Fant Four Stick, which I was not expecting to see, but it's like, it's still part of that Fox universe. This is the goodbye to the Fox movies, scored to Green Day's Good Riddance, which from the title you would think is very tongue-in-cheek, but if you're familiar with the song, it's really not. I liked this movie a lot. It's, as I said, it's my favorite Deadpool movie. This is one where, like, I don't know if this is sincere. It's definitely a joke, but Henry Cavill as Wolverine, even for only a few seconds, like, that's actually really cool. I know Deadpool jokes like, hey, Hugh Jackman, you're going to be doing this role until you're 90. Maybe not. Logan was the goodbye to the character. This was kind of, maybe this was more of the last hoorah, because I watched the Hot Ones video before seeing the movie, where Hugh Jackman's like, dude, we did Logan, said goodbye to the character, retired the character for me, and it was a great ending, and then Deadpool comes out, and I go, fuck, I want to be in that. It's like, this would be such a good crossover, now we can't do it. Now that it's done, even though he is in the MCU, this might be, he might finally step away from the role, and like, we're Gucci. And if Wolverine is open, maybe Henry Cavill? I don't know. Like, it felt like he really had the look down. He's not the short king, but I thought it worked. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Again, I'll try to link that video in the description. I'll go ahead and try to find it. That's it. Bye.